A brand new poll shows Donald Trump surging in the state of Arizona. What is up, people of the internet? It is me, Real American, back again with a new video, and today it is time to talk about the 2024 presidential election because everyone, a brand new poll was released out of the states of Arizona and Florida, and it is a disaster for Biden. We're not talking about just a small lead for Trump. He is absolutely demolishing Biden in both states, even in Arizona, you know, a state that's a 50-50 state. Yeah. Trump is currently demolishing Biden there, and even worse in Florida. And when you dig further into the poll, you realize that Biden has a much bigger problem in these states than the top line even suggests. Now, before we continue with today's video, I hope you enjoy these type of videos. If you do, smash the like button down below, subscribe, share with your friends, hit that little bell, follow the social media accounts in the description down below, and of course, join the channel today. Again, folks, all support is greatly appreciated, and yeah. Now let us get into it. When Arizona and Florida attracted the national spotlight over their abortion battles, this question arose: would the issue upend the presidential contest in those states? And this was the cope by Democrats for months. They were claiming that Florida was going to be competitive and Arizona was going to be a safe Democrat state because of abortion. Yeah, they've really banked on the idea of abortion is going to save Biden. And the answer right now is no, it's not. Biden is trailing in Arizona by 5. Yeah, a state that he won by, a quarter of a point. He is losing it by 5 points right now. And Trump is up by 9 points in Florida, which is significantly more than he won it back in 2020. Because despite the broad support for abortion rights in both states, that effect doesn't all accrue to Mr. Biden or hurt Trump, as much as people's views on finances and immigration shape the contest, and that's the reality of it. If the economy was booming and the border wasn't a mess, the issue of abortion might be more significant. Absolutely, I agree with that, but here's a problem. The economy sucks. At this point in time, the only people that believe the economy is booming are partisan Democrats or rich people. They're the only ones that really believe the economy is doing just fine. Guess what? It's not. In Arizona, with a border many believe is in crisis, a majority say Biden has been too easy on migrants, and there's a perception that things have changed over 4 years. Compared to the summer of 2020, more voters now say recent immigrants from Mexico and Latin America have made life in Arizona worse, and many Hispanic voters say this today too. Yeah. Not just white voters, Hispanics are saying the immigrants from Mexico and the rest of Latin America, they're causing problems. They're making life in Arizona worse. I mean, just look at this. Back in 2020, July of 2020, 35% of voters in Arizona said recent immigrants have made life in Arizona worse. Now, it's 52%. While only 13% said it's better. The recent immigrants have made life better in Arizona. That's it. This single graphic should tell you everything wrong with the Biden administration and why they're doing terrible in the polling. Because the voters realize his open border policy is hurting innocent people. This is just a disaster. The majority of voters, including a bunch of Hispanics, are saying, yeah, recent immigration is making things worse. And then Trump's policies are described as putting the interests of current U.S. citizens ahead of the interests of recent immigrants, whereas many Arizonians say Biden's policies don't. Yeah, other words, Trump is putting Americans first. Biden, he is doing the complete opposite, and he's putting immigrants ahead of U.S. citizens. That's just insane. I don't care if you're a Democrat, Republican, it doesn't matter. You should be putting Americans first. If Americans say we should close the border, close the damn border. It's in the interest of the average American to close the border. I mean, look at this graphic here. 72% of voters said Trump's policies put Americans first, while only 13% said the same thing about Biden. The issue may be hurting Biden with key demographic groups, including Hispanic voters. For example, Mr. Biden won a majority of Arizona's Hispanic vote in 2020, but he is now running even with Trump among them. And Hispanics in Arizona are much more liberal than in Texas. They just are. That's why this is more significant. At least in Texas, the Hispanics there are super conservative. Ones in Arizona, not so much. Hispanic voters' attitudes towards a choice in contest look a lot like voters overall. They're dissatisfied with the economy, think they will be financially better off if Trump wins than say about Biden, and are concerned about the border. And there's a sizable number of Hispanic voters who now say recent immigrants have made Arizona life worse, as well effectively even with those who say they've made it better. Yeah. 40% of Hispanics said recent immigrants have made life in Arizona worse, which, yeah, there's a lot more saying it made it better, but that's still awful because a lot of these Hispanic voters, at least a good chunk of them, they're recent immigrants. Or at least their parents were or something. That's why they're saying it's made life in Arizona better because their family is there or whatever. That's why Hispanic voters, they usually say, yeah, immigration is better because it benefited me. But even then, 40% are saying it's made it worse. Usually the number is not that high. Usually it's like 20%. And this is Arizona Hispanics. These are not Texas ones. These are much more liberal. And even then, they're saying Biden's policies with immigration, at least recent immigrants, have made life in Arizona worse. Far more voters think Trump will make them financially better off if he wins, and in fact, more say Trump cares about their economic struggles in the first place, but both candidates elicit the majority view that they don't. Yeah, so other words, more people think Trump cares about them than Biden. This question back in 2020, this was like a Biden plus 50 question. Who cares about you more? I know this is for economic stuff, but either way, this is an issue that Biden has always done good at. Back in 2020, this is a big reason he won. Many people thought he was just a nice old dude that cared about them and was going to try to do something. Well, it turns out he doesn't really care. He doesn't know what the hell is going on. I mean, look at this. 30% said Trump cares about their economic situation a lot, compared to Biden with 20%. This is not, who's gonna make you better off. It's who cares about you more. Democrats, especially Biden, have done very good with this question for years. But now Trump is doing good with this question. That highlights the troubles for the Biden campaign of facing down the effects of inflation. Even as inflation cools in the macro measures, Arizonians overwhelmingly feel prices are going up, because they still are. If you really believe the government's numbers on inflation, which some people dispute, I don't really know, but even with their own numbers, inflation is still going up. Just because the percent went down, that doesn't mean inflation went down. It just means the growth of it decreased slightly. Instead of growing by 8%, it grew by 4%. Just an example. That doesn't mean it went down. It just means it slowed down ever so slightly in growth. Now, does that mean that inflation is as bad? Technically, no, but who cares? It's still at a pretty bad rate. It's just slightly better than it was last year. Now, as for the rest of this poll, they have Trump up by 5 in Arizona, up by 9 in Florida. That's just horrific for Biden. This is not good that he's down by 5 in Arizona. I don't care if there's a slight point miss for Biden. Let's say 2-point miss. Fine. Let's say that Trump does 2 points worse than the polling suggests, somehow. Well, even with that, Trump is still winning Arizona by 3. If he's winning Arizona by 3, which, by the way, is the same number he won it by in 2016, he's winning re-election. Because at that point, he's probably flipping Nevada, he's probably winning Georgia, and more than likely is going to win a state like Wisconsin or Pennsylvania. So even if Biden does slightly better than the polling suggests, he is still down by 5 points in Arizona. That is awful. That's not good for Biden. Granted, he could do slightly better, but like I said, a 2-point overperformance is not enough to overcome a 5-point lead. Now, as for the issue of abortion, everyone was saying abortion is going to save the Democrats. Well, look at this graph here. Major factors in vote for president. 82% said the economy, 78% said inflation, 70% said state of democracy, 61% said the border, 59% said crime, and then people said abortion at 51%. It's not even in the top 5 biggest issues, according to this poll, in Arizona. Remember, Arizona had that big stink over that new abortion ban. Remember? Yeah, so theoretically, the issue of abortion should be big in Arizona. It should be the deciding factor. It's not. It's not even the 5th most important issue. Crime is beating it. The border, inflation, the economy. Hell, gun policy is just slightly behind abortion. That's why Democrats are not experiencing this magical surge they banked on. They were promising everyone for months that the issue of abortion is going to save the Biden campaign. Really? Because from what I can tell, the issue of abortion doesn't matter. The only people that care about it are partisan Democrats. You know, the people that you know for a fact are going to vote Democrat. Who cares what they think? If they're going to vote Democrat no matter what, it doesn't matter what they think's the most important issue. And that's the cause of 51% of voters saying abortion is a major cause. This is mostly partisan Democrats. They're going to vote for Biden no matter what. So, if the swing voters don't care about it, and in fact, if they do care about it, it's not impacting Trump, who the hell cares about the issue of abortion? Why do people really think this is going to be the magical savior for Biden's campaign? If it hasn't saved him now, it's not going to save him at all. It just won't. Now, there's one part of the Arizona poll that I do want to talk about real quick, and that's the Senate race. Listen, do I think Lake's going to lose by 13? No. I think this poll is understating her quite a bit. There's probably a bunch of Republicans that are undecided. They're going to vote Carrie Lake. But this is becoming a problem. This is nothing against Lake. I'm not saying anything bad about her, but her polling numbers are getting bad. We're not talking about, a 1-point loss. Some of these numbers, some of these polls are just bad. Yes, this is an outlier, but nearly every single poll released out of Arizona this year has her losing by 5 to 6 points. Maybe 3. But those same polls have Trump winning Arizona by 4 to 5 points. Theoretically, Carrie Lake should do the exact same as Trump. Because Carrie Lake, many people think, is just the female version of Trump in Arizona. If she's doing this much worse than Trump, she's screwed. She has no pathway to victory if this is the case. If she's this far behind now, there's no way, especially since everyone in Arizona knows Carrie Lake. She has universal name ID. This isn't a thing where no one knows who Carrie Lake is, and it's just name recognition. Some people might not know who she is, but I guarantee you, 90% of voters in Arizona know who Carrie Lake is. I guarantee it. Yet she's down by 13, and every other poll she's down by 3, 4, even 5 points. This isn't good. And I will say this. If Lake doesn't show some kind of improvement in the polling, I would strongly recommend voting for Mark Lamb in Arizona. I know some people are going to be mad at me for saying this, but this is the reality of the race. Carrie Lake is not doing good at all. The fact that she's losing by this much in May, if this was back in November, last year, that's one thing. And that was the case, fine. Gallego has a 4-point lead, whatever. It's May. She's running behind Trump like 10 points in Arizona. Is that going to be the case by November? I doubt it. But the fact that she's doing this horrific in the state is not good. And Mark Lamb, I think, would have some kind of chance. Yes, he's a little bit unknown. He's kind of a risky pick as well, but you might have to take the risk here. If Kari Lake doesn't show some kind of improvement, I would recommend voters in Arizona vote for Mark Lamb. Give him a try. Maybe he could do something insane and actually win. But anyways, folks, we just got to see what happens in Arizona. The fact that Trump is up by this much in the state, that's not good for Biden. It's just not. These numbers are not good for Biden. Now, as for the Senate race, yeah, that's not good for Republicans. It's just not. But what matters is a presidential race. It looks like Trump is in a good spot in Arizona. We just got to see what happens. If you guys did enjoy this video, smash the like button down below, subscribe, share with your friends, hit that little bell, follow the social media accounts in the description down below, and of course, join the channel today. Godspeed to all of you.